Hello, welcome. We are now in session 2 of our 30-day market one-page marketing plan challenge. So I welcome anyone who's joining us. If you're coming back for the second installment, welcome. I'm going to be asking a few questions for those of you that were here last time, and also anyone who's joining us for the first time. Please know that you will be absolutely able to catch up and also get a lot out of this session. The first session that we did last Friday is still live on the Facebook page and Facebook group page here. So feel free to go back and look at that and catch up. So we'll do a little bit of a review here before we get into this week's work. But I just want to really applaud everyone, and I'm going to take off my glasses because of the reflection. I want to applaud everyone who really got involved in the conversation this week about the challenges that were coming up, because this is not a test. This 30-day challenge is it's a practice. And when we do something like this and really give ourselves a chance to focus our attention on running our business, I should say on the strategy of our business, because we spend all our time running our business and not enough time really working on growing our business. So I really want to applaud everyone who's taking the time to do this and who's willing to show up and find out where maybe we didn't know what we didn't know. So that's a very, very powerful practice, and congratulations to everyone for doing that. So I am going to let's see here if I can change my screen view a little bit, but I'm not sure I can. So so I'm going to just kind of go ahead and do a little bit of a review for everyone. As you join, I'm going to encourage you to enter not only your name, but also your business, because awareness is really the biggest part of marketing, and anything that you are able to do here to let people know who you are and what you do is just that much more in marketing your business. So please feel free to do that as you're joining. Don't be shy. And also don't be shy about asking questions as we go through this, because I will make this a very dialogue rich experience. Happy to stop and answer questions as we go. This is just a conversation that we're having about working on your business. Well, hello, Ty. Welcome. Glad you're here. And so for those of you that are just joining, I know Ty already has his copy of this, but this document is what's going to become your one-page marketing plan. Now, I know that looks like more than one page, but in order to get to the one-page marketing plan, we have, and my cell phone was going off, we have what here, hello, Sharonda, welcome. And by the way, Sharonda, I think this is your first time to join, and for those of you that are joining for the first time, these documents that I'm showing you are available in the files section of this Facebook group so that you can get your own copy. So what we are working on there we go, lighting is everything, right? What we're working on right now is the foundation. You'll see the foundation here that will get us to the one-page marketing plan on the other side. So all of this groundwork that we're laying is really working on getting conscious about our business. It's a conscious business. What you also will find in the files section is it's almost like a syllabus for this 30-day plan, 30-day challenge, and it has it broken down by week. I know some people go through a 30-day challenge day by day by day, but what I've done is block it into weeks of work so that you have flexibility in what you're doing over a week period between these sessions. So again, this is session 2, but for week 1, what we did was we talked about really identifying who your ideal customer is. Not just the customer that shows up on your doorstep and you go, gee, let's work, but the customer that really is recognizing your value, that really gives you joy and satisfaction in working with those individuals because you know you're really able to help them and they really appreciate the help that you provide. So it's honoring yourself, and it's also getting to know who these individuals are. And market research is not an inexpensive option if you hire someone to do market research, but we talked a little bit about how to kind of bootstrap getting your own information about who your ideal clients, customers, however you want to refer to it, the people that you want to work with and serve, finding out who they are. And what we asked individuals to do last week was to go out and interview people and ask 5 questions. And you may hear in the background while we're doing this live, you may hear some very interesting noises, which would be coming from my dog that just had surgery, who is sitting at my feet. So I will apologize for any strange noises. That's my dog. Anyway, so that being said, so this week, what we're really going to look at is defining your purpose. So if you'll look at week 2 on here, it's defining your purpose and what gets you excited about what you do, because where you're excited and where you're passionate is where people are really going to be attracted to you, and they're really going to be interested in what you do. And then looking at, I think, most people's not so favorite thing, which is the math of their business. I have a math degree, which I think this is the only place I actually use it. But doing the math of your business is actually, I'm going to say, a spiritual practice. Because if we don't look at the money that we need to make, we aren't going to really have a direction of where we want our business to grow. So that's going to be very important. But for those of you who have joined last time, if you did interview individuals, and even if you didn't have a chance to complete your interviews, like I said, this is not a test, this is a practice. Can you, in, let's say, 1 sentence, can you describe your ideal customer or client? Now, I think a lot of people, I'm one of them, have more than one ideal client or customer. Just pick one. And through this, if you want to go ahead and enter who those customers are, that would be fantastic. I think what you're going to kind of see if people are entering that information is that there's a lot of similarity between the ideal customers, which is a very interesting dynamic. But with all of that being said, the next thing about finding our purpose is often the most challenging thing that a business does. If you're like me, and I'll tell a story on myself. If you're like me, when you started a business, you just kind of fell into it. It wasn't necessarily starting with purpose. It was starting with, this is what I do, and I think I can make some money at it. And so what I like to invite all of my customers and clients to do is to really look at what it is that gets you excited and gets you out of bed in the morning to do the work that you do. Whether you're employed by someone else, that's your business, even if someone else is um, paying you a salary. That's still your business. And showing up in that business with excellence is something that really gives us a sense of satisfaction. So what I want to encourage you to do is to kind of take a step back, and instead of, because there's a, I'm going to take a sidestep here. I apologize. I really need to talk about a mass movement to find the business that fulfills our soul, that we were always meant to do, and we can't do anything until we find that. And people get frozen trying to do that. And they get frozen trying to do that because there is a assumption that the work that I do for a living also is fulfilling my purpose. It already is. You don't go find that. You already are fulfilling your purpose. You're here, you're fulfilling your purpose. So what we allow ourselves to do is to get clear about what we're really good at and what really excites us, no matter what the business is. The business that's outside of us is not the thing that's going to make us happy. We are going to make ourselves happy. All right. So what we're going to do in looking at this marketing of our business is to get comfortable in our own skin, in our own business, and say, what is it that I really love about what I'm doing? Because if I'm not projecting what I love, why would anyone want to work with me? So here's what we're going to do. Take a little step in the Wayback Machine to when you were a kid and you were doing something that you could just get lost in, that it felt like time stood still when you did that, that was just a practice of joyfulness, right? There's purpose in that. And that's where we really want to focus our attention. And that's where the purpose lives. So to describe what our purpose is, and by the way, you probably can hear this noise, and I'm going to take a moment here, speaking of purpose, and I'm going to let you see a dog that really is not happy in the cone of shame. And then we're going to come back and we're going to go back to our purpose. What makes us happy? A cone of shame does not make us happy. So I want you to think about what it is that really gives you joy. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to then go find that. What you have to do, what you get to do, I should say, is to find where you're already doing that in your work. So for me, the thing that gave me the most tremendous amount of pleasure as a child was to tell stories. When I was 5 years old and I would go down to the park with my parents, I would go and I would collect all of the kids that were playing in the park. I would pull them away from the swing sets and the slides, and I would take them, the park was at the river, and I would take them to this big old gnarly tree by the river, and we would sit there and I would tell them stories. I'm 5 and I'm telling them stories. I have no idea what I was telling them, but I was having a ball. And they were having fun too. And they were like, tell us another one, tell us another one. You know, I had no idea what I was saying, but the idea is that gave me joy. I would draw, I would write stories. My drawings were stories. They were almost like little flip books, illustrated stories, even before I could write. So what do I do now? I help people tell their business story. I help people kind of transform their own businesses by telling these stories, right? In fact, what I just told you was a story to give you an example, right? So that's something that gives me great joy. I'm very passionate about it. I don't walk up to a client and say, I tell stories. But I get to do that in my work, and I get to find that purpose because teaching through stories is something that I've always done. And it's something that I'm very passionate about, and it's a big part of my purpose. So give yourself time this week to look at those places where you got tremendous joy. And look for where you're already doing it. So rather than going and looking for how you can fulfill your purpose, look at where you already are. There's your purpose, all right? There's your passion. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling miserable, if you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling overwhelmed, I would suggest that you have denied your purpose in what you do. Not that you are doing the wrong thing, but that you have decided that you can't do what you're doing and fulfill your purpose. So really take a look at the purpose of your business. And it's quite entirely possible that it will transform into something else, and that's fine. But don't ever fool yourself that you are in any way separated from the ability to fulfill your purpose wherever you are. Okay, so that's one of the things that I really want you to look at in your business. And if you're like me, when I first did mission statements and vision statements for my first agency, I got caught up in the perfectionism of feeling that my mission and my vision had to be the most ultimate thing and had to be different than everybody else's, or it was wrong. That's not true. Your purpose can be the same as somebody else's purpose. It's okay, because you bring your own unique thumbprint to whatever it is you're doing. And don't worry about it being intensely competitive. You still have a unique approach that only you can bring to whatever it is you're doing. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for customers, does not matter. You bring your own unique thumbprint to it. And that's what you get to find. And I will tell you, who will tell you what that unique thing is more than anyone else will be your existing customers. They will tell you, if you ask them, what do you think's unique about working with me? They'll tell you. There's your answer. You really don't have to look a whole lot further, because you're going to project that uniqueness, whether you mean to or not, whether you're doing it intentionally or not. And if you don't like the answers that come back, you get to look at yourself and say, how can I project something different? So that's the beauty of doing this. It's all an inside job. That's one of the reasons that I call my company Inside Out Marketing, is because you're your own answer. It's all inside you, but others will reflect it back to you. And if you are not clear, they'll help you get clear. And they'll be very happy to do it. That is the best source of marketing research you can possibly find, is those who have worked with you in the past. They will tell you who you are. And if you don't like who you see reflected back to you, you do get to change that. Okay, so that's about purpose. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the math. And who here loves math? Just, on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being I really hate math and I wish it didn't exist in the world, to 5, I wish everything in the world was mathematical. Just type in a number there in the comments section and let me know how you feel about math. And I've taken some very interesting math courses when I was getting my degree, all the way up to theoretical mathematics, where we talked about transfinite numbers, infinitely infinite infinities. That's where I really get excited about math, not the algebra, not the geometry, although, I kind of like those too. Calculus is a bit of a headache, but it's all good. So we're going to keep our math simple. I promise. So, well, 3's good. 3's good. 2.1. Okay. Yeah, that's about where I think most people are with the math. And honestly, I think most of us are operating in some level of fear about the numbers. Instead of saying math, I'll say the numbers. The numbers in our business, no matter how successful we are, it's sort of like getting the grades in school. I said this is not a test, it's a practice. We feel like the numbers somehow are measuring our worth. And I think I said, I'm not sure if I said this last time, but if I did, it bears repeating. Most of us, whether we are a business owner, whether we're an employee, gets a lion's share of our sense of value and our sense of personal worth out of our work. And so I really encourage you to see work in a different light, and that's going to take practice too. Seeing our work as a projection of our purpose and as service to the world is a much better way to show up than feeling like we're being graded and judged based on the amount of revenue that we're generating. And interestingly, when we start shifting that dynamic, we can start generating more revenue, which is super. So for Sharonda, I don't know if you've had a chance to download the actual plan itself, the foundation. Down here, there is what I wrote in here. There we go, backwards, the map. And I'm going to walk through this with everyone here, because this is such a fundamental piece of building your marketing plan. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, kind of thing. So we really do have to look at the money. And if you're looking for, hi Carol, if you are looking for a job, this still matters. If you're growing your business, this matters. If you're starting your business, this matters. It doesn't, whatever your work is, wherever you find yourself in your work, the math matters. So although my glasses pick up a little light reflection, I need them. So where we start is where we are, right? We have to begin somewhere. And without any sense of judgment or shame, we have to look at what we're earning on a monthly basis and say, is that enough? Is that enough to support my lifestyle? Is that enough for me to be able to invest back in my business? Whoa, what did I just say? Invest back in my business? Yep, I have to be able to pay myself and feed my business. So my business is this living thing. And if I don't treat my business as a living thing, I'm going to starve it to death. So what I have to be able to do is to not only pay myself, I have to be able to grow my business. If I grow my business, if I feed my business, then I'm going to be able to feed myself more. So if I look at where I'm currently earning and I say, okay, that's enough to kind of get by, but it's not enough to really invest back in my business. I don't know how I'm going to grow that. Then what I need to do is to look at how much I want to make monthly. Now, a lot of people aim really low. And when I say really low, what I mean is they're afraid of, I'll call it the how. They're afraid of how they can get to what they want, so they shortchange themselves on what they want. So if I'm making, let's say I'm making $2,000 a month, and what I really want is $10,000 a month, and I can't see how I'm going to bridge that, then I'm like, oh, well, I won't do 10,000 a month. That's what I want, right? What I forget is that I get to go from where I am to where I want to be one step at a time. That doesn't mean that I should shortchange where I want to be. So go ahead and write in what you want to be earning. It's okay. It can be as, big and bold and badass as you want it to be. But if you went from $1,000 a month to $1 million a month, just realize that that's not a 30-day plan. That's going to take you some time. So also treat this math as an organic living equation that will also change over time. So it's go ahead and aim high, but also realize that if you're creating too big of a gap, you're also doing something to demoralize yourself. So we'll adjust as we go. That's going to be a personal equation. But here's the next part in that equation. The next part in that equation, for those of you with and without colors of shame on, is knowing what an average customer is worth to you on a monthly basis. That is a big deal. Now, if you're looking for employment, that is what kind of monthly salary you would want to pull down. If you're talking about running your own business, my clients are kind of all over the highway because I have some clients that are lower price point. They are what I call my passion clients. I'm doing kind of a gifting work with them. And then I also have higher price point clients that they're playing in a different realm. And in order for them to move to a certain place, they need to invest more in the movement. So so I have different price points. So I look at an average between the two, and not to get too mathy on you, but there are 3 different kinds of average: mean, median, and mode. And so really what I do is I look at the mean, which is just the straight middle point, and say, okay, that's what an average is for me on a monthly basis. And that is where I then start going, okay, how many of those monthlies do I need? Now, some of my clients I work with for long periods of time. I work with them for 90 days. I work with them for 6 months. I work with them on a monthly retainer. You know, it's all over the map. So I really need to look at how much of that business do I need to have on a monthly basis to get to where I want to be. And in doing that, then I got to know how many more customers do I need a month. So those are the things that you're really going to have to, you know, think about. And if you're in a place where I'm not even close, then that's where you're going to really need this marketing plan, because what you're going to look at in setting your goals and your priorities is, where am I going to find these clients? How am I going to connect with these clients that I need on a monthly basis? That's going to be important. Visibility is key. That's what marketing is. I've had people ask me, well, are you advertising? And I well, no, I'm marketing. Advertising is a subset of marketing. And there are a lot of different ways to market without advertising. So, so being visible is going to be crucial to you, and visible in the right place that your ideal client is. And that's why we really wanted to look at the ideal client first, because it's important to know where they are, where they hang out, what networking events, what social media, what do they read, where are they? Where are they spending their time that you can spend time with them and get to know them? And then I have blank available to invest to sustain me now and grow my business is one of the biggest math pieces of the puzzle that individuals who are starting businesses today are not looking at. Because the barrier to entry in business today is 0. A lot of people are getting into business with 0 and are then finding out, well, this takes a minute. And it gets scary, and then they're in a fear place and don't want to look at the numbers. So I'm going to encourage you to think about what it is that you need to do with your business while you're growing your business. When I started this business a year and a half ago, I told myself, if it's not taking off at the rate that I need it to, I'm willing to go drive for Uber if I need to drive for Uber. You know, whatever I need to do to sustain myself while I'm growing it, I'm willing to do, because those are the things that are crucial for a business owner to start. So those are the kinds of things I'm going to encourage you to do in looking at the math. Math can be really scary. There is a sense that I have to put the right numbers in there. You don't. Just put the best numbers that you can. So if you have any questions about how to decide what the right numbers to shoot for are in your business, if you are not sure how to determine what your average customer value is on a monthly basis, any of those kinds of questions, please feel free to ask me. You can message me if you want it to be a private conversation. I know money can be a little nerve-wracking, but you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to ask questions here in a general way if you want to. And so we'll try to help you kind of move through those numbers where it feels safe and it feels like it's really something that you can look at without a tremendous amount of anxiety that the numbers can often create. So, so hopefully that gets you kind of clear on what you need to do as far as the math is concerned. I really cannot overstate that the numbers are movable, and that you do not have to feel like this has to be perfect. The most important thing is that you are putting a stake in the ground so that you can focus on where it is you want to go and see how it's lining up. And that also Carol and I are here to support you as you are kind of trying this out and seeing how this feels. And if it doesn't feel like it's quite right to you, you're more than welcome to ask questions. There is no right way to do this. There's your way to do this. Most important thing, do it, right? So then the next thing that we're going to look at here before we wrap up today is the idea of setting that goal. Setting a goal is more important than what the goal is. I mean, truly, just set a goal and hold yourself to working towards that goal. On this foundation, you'll see right here the goal. It's kind of like if you did Mad Libs as a kid, fill in the blank. Even like Mad Libs, I put in noun, time frame. The goal is very, very simple. Hi, Pam, welcome. The goal is a very simple thing. It is kind of going to be your mantra for the next, I'll say, 90 days and beyond. So I will have or be something by sometime. And I know Pam is establishing a professional speaking career, as I am, and Mad Libs are great, that's right. And so in building this speaking career, if this is going to be the primary goal, it can be, I will be a $10,000 speaker by June of 2019. Why not? So the idea here is set yourself an objective, and then you'll be able to build your plan to lift you into that It may feel like stratosphere. It may feel like the air is pretty rare up there where that goal is. That's okay. It's something that's going to keep you moving forward. The book that I'm writing right now is called Begin. We have to begin. We have to start somewhere. And if we aim low, that's probably all we're going to get is low. So I'm encouraging everyone here to kind of stretch a little bit. I could say I'm going to be $1 million speaker by June of 2019. It's not impossible, but it's also, again, don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for something that feels a little outside of your comfort zone, and then move towards it. And then you can adjust it as you go. And you're probably going to beat it as you go too if you stay focused on this. The focus, the practice, the looking at the math, the looking at the practice, looking at the goals, looking at the strategy is really what helps a business grow. That's what most businesses are not doing. They're just doing. And so those are the things that I'm really going to, I'm checking what we're doing this week. That is really what we need to focus on. Okay. So I want to take a little bit of time here and open up for questions. And I'm going to kind of start the questions with some of the questions that came up in this group this week, because they were really powerful in their, I'll say, universality. They were very universal questions that I saw people really being very vulnerable and very willing to share with the group, and I was very impressed with the honesty. So one of the things that came up was saying, I don't even know where to start with my marketing, and I believe that this person was really talking about social media. She was very focused on being present in social media and feeling like she just didn't have enough time, didn't really know where to focus. And that is something that I know I struggle with. I know just about every business owner that I talk to struggles with, is how do I do it all? And there's a couple of things. One is we are not alone, and trying to do the heavy lifting of running a business by ourselves is too much for most people. So I'm going to congratulate everybody who's here for looking for outside resources and support. I do want to be very clear that this is not just me talking. Certainly it is if that's all anyone wants, but Carol and I are here to support you. So we're here for you to ask these questions and to really get a chance to hear how others are doing it. And also knowing that we tend to get overwhelmed. We tend to feel like it's too much. We tend to feel like we can't do this if we've skipped a step. And that's why I'm really encouraging everyone here to know who your ideal customer is, to know what your goals are, to know what your strategy is before you jump into the tactics, before you jump into the Mad Libs. Now, before you jump into social media, before you jump into, what do I do with my website? What do I do with all of these marketing tactics? If you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a marketing plan, if you don't know what your purpose is, if you don't know who you're talking to and what that keeps them up at night, yeah, it's going to feel overwhelming because you're doing a scattershot approach. It's what I call ready, fire, aim. And it's really hard to it's really hard to hit the target if you're doing ready, fire, aim. You might, but you're not even sure how you did it when you do. So I'm going to encourage you to stay with this for the 30 days and really get clear on your strategy before you start jumping into the tactics. So that's one big thing that came up. Another thing that came up that, oh gosh, I've this one really touched my heart, was someone was doing work that they were incredibly passionate about. They have a great story to tell. I mean, it's totally from their heart. And they were feeling that fear, especially when you're doing work that is vulnerable and from your heart. Who's gonna care? Who's going to buy this? And I know I've been there. I know a lot of other people who've been there. And the important thing in doing that is recognizing who you're talking to. So when I'm doing, and this person's writing a book, so who you're talking to is straightforward, but it doesn't matter what your business is. You're talking to someone, and the someone you're talking to is the person you help. So if you're doing something you're super passionate about, then you have to know specifically who you are talking to. Hi, Sharon. And make sure that everything you say and everything you do is specifically for that individual. I promise you that if you're talking to that individual, you're also talking to every individual who's like the individual you're talking to. And that's your ideal customer. So with this individual who's writing this amazing book that's from her heart, that really is on her heart to write, she gets to write the book to the individuals who need what it is she says. And she knows who they are. So never, ever feel like you are talking to a vacuum. If that happens, then it's time to stop and go back and reassess who your ideal customer is. Okay, so strategy, super important. Just as important, who are you serving and what keeps them up at night? If you haven't done that work, if you don't know what your number is you need to meet and who it is you serve, you're gonna be kind of paddling furiously underneath the surface, and you're going to be really struggling needlessly. You do not have to struggle like that when you've done the work. I think that those were the two really big ones that I saw. The idea of being overwhelmed and that there's not enough time, there's not enough hours in the day is the other one that was kind of in both of them. And it's not hard to do what needs to be done when you know where it is you need to focus. And that's really the power of this 90-day plan. And I know a lot of people feel like they have so little time. I know a couple of people that really wanted to be a part of this, and they're like, I don't have the time, you know. The videos are here to kind of help you break through that. And they'll be here through the month. But the idea that I don't have time to invest the time in my business says that there's a cycle that has to be broken. And certainly I've been there, and breaking that cycle is so challenging when you're in the middle of it, because you kind of can't see the forest for the trees. But definitely give yourself a chance to invest the time to work on your business rather than working in your business. Even if you are doing it, you know, with a cocktail at, 7 o'clock at night, do it, because it's going to help you get out of that hamster wheel that we can feel like we're on all the time. And believe it or not, a marketing strategy is the primary way I know to do that. Why? Because it builds the revenue stream that gets you off the roller coaster so that you can say, I've got this. I know what it is I'm doing. I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to them. They're coming to me. I've got the work. My business is growing. My revenue is growing. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So I think that those are really the key things for this week. If there are any questions, please let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and say, we'll wrap it up here. If you haven't downloaded the one-page marketing plan with its foundation and the plan itself, which is over here, please do so. That's going to be your worksheet for the rest of this month. And this document is also up there in files, and that's kind of your course syllabus that lets you know what we're doing each week so that you can stay up with the plan. And I know that Carol kind of has a watch party for these for questions as you're going through it. You are more than welcome to go ahead and ask questions in this group. We are here to support you, and we are here to answer your questions. Of course, Carol and I are also running businesses, so be patient with us if it takes a minute for us to respond, but we're definitely here and happy to answer the questions for you. And since we talked about the sensitive money issue this week, if you prefer to private message us with your money questions, that is absolutely fine. We understand and support that, and we will honor your confidentiality. So all of those things are very important. And so the watch party will be Wednesday or Thursday. Just keep an eye out for it. Stay present with the group. We will be happy to keep you posted on that. And then we're going to do week 3 the next Friday and really get into the plan itself. So that's going to be exciting. And congratulations to everyone who is investing in themselves in doing this 30-day plan. I know that a couple of folks are already experiencing results just from knowing who their ideal clients are. That's how powerful this is. So please keep up the good work, because just when something's working, a lot of people will stop and say, well, that worked. And then they don't continue the thing that was working. So please keep doing the work. It is worth every minute of it. And I'm so glad you joined us. We'll see you next week.